Welcome in. It's Wednesday. We are live. We are chatting. So that makes this the Wednesday live chat for the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. But really, it's for anything you want. You drive the ship here. Questions, comments, concerns, get them in the chat right now. It's a big week for a lot of reasons. Scotty Scheffler is making his return. It is a signature event. Rory McIlroy back stateside, and the Rick Run Good One and Done World Championships starts this week. We are going to talk plenty about all of those things, but if you've never been here before, welcome. There are two things that we start with every single show. One is the weather. Let's go there first. And what you see, especially on Thursday and Friday, is a lack of wind like I cannot remember at these golf courses, or at least in this area. I mean, nothing. Hardly a breath of wind, sub 4 miles an hour until about noon on Friday. And then it just goes up to, 5 or 6, maybe 8 miles an hour. Really, really interesting. Rain in the forecast all weekend long, but it does look like they'll be able to get this in. It's not all day long. It's something to worry about later. So wow, yeah, guys are probably going to be able to take advantage of this golf course when you look at potential waves. And even though there's not really waves because they're playing on two separate golf courses, both Thursday and Friday, scoring conditions should be pretty ideal. Now, we did just get a Wyndham Clark quote about how firm these greens are, how bouncy they are. He thinks it's going to play more difficult than it did last year. He was the defending champion, shot a 60 on Saturday. So yeah, I certainly hope it is more difficult than that. The other thing that we always do is the one and done projected ownership. This is from Office Football Pool. These are not really projections. These are the actual selections across the entire site. They are not specific to a pool. They are across the entire site, but they do really well to correlate with what's actually going to be happening. These are under the assumption that your one and done has started. So that means guys like Jason Day, who normally would be very popular this week, is only at 9.2% because a lot of people, about 25%, used him last week. Okay. That's how to read this. So Patrick Cantlay leads the way at about 20% in terms of projected ownership for one and dones. Justin Thomas and Colin Morikawa right next to each other, 14 and 13. Ludwig has moved up to 12%. I believe he was in single digits when I checked this earlier in the week. And then Jason Day at 9 before a pretty big gap to everybody else. So it's basically Cantlay, gap, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ludwig, little gap, Jason Day, big gap. Everybody else, Scotty Scheffler, 1.7%. If you're looking for that, Rory McIlroy, 1.2. But I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot. This will be a little bit different for our one and done that starts this week. I think that Jason Day will be more popular, probably bumps Patrick Cantlay down a little bit. I think maybe Justin Thomas will be a little bit more popular. So we'll talk about that as we go along. But let's talk about that one and done, because here it is. As of right now, 1,000 entries short of filling, but the overlay, let me calculate it, 2,788 times 150. There's about an $80,000 overlay right now, which means Splash Sports is going to pay out all $500,000 no matter how many people get into this. That the overlay is conceivably free money, right? They're paying it no matter what. It's guaranteed. Good for us, bad for them, bad for our prospects of next year getting $1 million, but we'll worry about that next year. If you've been waiting, now would be the time to get into this. It's $150 an entry. Someone is going to win 50 grand. Someone's going to win 25 grand. If you finish in the last payout spot, 370th, you're going to double your money. If you only get hot for a couple of tournaments at a time, there are segment payouts where you can win 5 grand for every segment. This is a structure that I'm really proud of, and we worked really hard on getting it done this way. $500,000 guaranteed. It's already by far the biggest one and done the Rick Run Good community's ever done. I think our biggest prior to this was 1,100. So we've more than doubled that, and we've still got a little bit of time to go. Not a whole lot of time, but a little bit of time. Links for all of that is in the description. And then finally, if you are going to enter a one and done, go to Pool Genius and get access to their one and done tool, which is the one that I helped consult on. I've loaded in all my entries. I have 5 entries in the World Championships. I've got one in the $1,000 high roller. Obviously, I'm going to play those a bit differently. I've got entries in contests that started a couple weeks ago. So all of that is being kept straight by the Pool Genius tools here. Okay, so I'm keeping all of them straight here. I love this tool. It's only getting better all the time. All right, let's get to it, kids. Trevor says, whoops, sorry, Trevor. Could you show us a list of the top 30 putters in this field on POA? Probably not going to show you the top 30. That seems like a little bit of overkill, but I'm going to go to the Holy Grail. I'm going to go back to the start of 2021. I'm going to drop down more filters and make sure that I click on Poana greens. I'm going to go back up to the top here and sort by putting, and I'm going to see that the number 1 putter is Denny McCarthy. No surprise. Maybe a little bit surprising that Adam Scott is number 2, 47 rounds, 0.74 strokes gained per round. Mackenzie Hughes, Thomas Dietrich, Sahith, Tom Hoagie, Wyndham Clark, Jason Day. A lot of guys that have success on the West Coast. No real surprise there, but you can see the rest of this field. It's a mix of good putters and a couple of guys that have a lot of West Coast success. Would you consider starting Denny or Hoagie in a one and done? This is my website, and basically everything you see from here on out is my website, rickrungood.com. Giant database. It's only golf. It's only fantasy. It's only betting. It's all that stuff. Just like fire it up. You'll love it. If you don't, I'll make it right. I think it's too cute, right? This is a signature event. There's only 8 of them plus major championships, and they're the fields that the best players most frequently rise to the top because they are smaller fields, because they are no cut events. You don't have to get cute on these, especially this early in the year. I mean, if this is the last signature event and you need to make up $3 million or whatever, like, sure. But all those factors make me think it is much too early and much too cute to be playing Denny or Tom Hoagie in a one and done. I need to fill my last 2 spots. Is it better to go with Henley and Hadwin or Adam Scott and Lee Hodges? Oof. I like Henley more than Scott, but I think I like Hodges a lot more than I like Hadwin. So I'm going to go Adam Scott and Lee Hodges. So first off, Adam Scott, I just showed you he's one of the better putters in the last 4 or 5 years on Poana greens. And he's been a very, very good ball striker, very good tee to green player for a long time. And he never seems to age. He's picked up strokes from tee to green in every event since the Travelers Championship. And before that, it was basically every event for the entirety of 2024. I'll pull up his results here at Pebble Beach. He's only played here 4 times in the last 15 years, but last year he played here. It was a T20. The other thing is Lee Hodges is playing a lot better golf than I think a lot of people would realize. If you look up his profile and see that he is, I think he's only $6,200, about 5.5 projected ownership, played beautifully at the Farmers, T34 at the American Express, T10 at the Sony. So right there, he has started off 2025 in really good fashion with really good stat profiles. He has potentially fixed the putter. The putter was a massive issue for him all year long. This run that he had from the Travelers Championship to the RSM was miserable. I could have putted better than that. Not really, but you get my point. And now in the 2, 5, 9 measured rounds that he's had, he's picked up like 12 strokes putting. So if he has figured that part out, he's quite dangerous at a really, really low price. So I'm going to have to go with Scott and Lee Hodges. What is the course to target for Showdown? The Pebble Beach played about 3/4 of a stroke easier last year. But again, if you take Wyndham Clark's word for it, maybe it's a little bit more difficult. Maybe they get closer, that and Spyglass Hill, but that's the answer. Why has Rory livified the PGA Tour so we have very little full field tournaments with cuts? Are the top players that afraid of Patton Kizzire and Lanto Griffin? I do not think that was Rory's decision. Preempting the wave makes no difference angle. Beat me to it. Do we think that the cooler weather Thursday morning making Spyglass Hill tougher with length a factor and slightly windier on Friday? Okay. Then there's a second comment here. Making Pebble Beach harder. Okay. So I think this is reasonable, Robert. If you want, so that would be what? Pebble on Thursday, Spyglass on Friday. That's fine. I try not to like speculate. I guess I do a lot of speculation, but it's usually backed by data and information, but I don't I don't have any reason to dispute that. I also don't have any reason to like agree with it, if that makes sense. So if that makes you comfortable and you're happy with that, I say rock and roll. What has Ricky Fowler been up to? Well, he played in Live, or he did not play in Live. He played TGL. The other three initials, there's so many of them on tour this week. He's played better. I always worry about Ricky that he's just a trap waiting to happen. But since the start of the fall, he's been a lot better, right? So he's T16 at the Sanderson, T23 at Shriners, fourth at the Zozo was his highlight, and then a pretty decent T21 at the American Express. So it has been better, especially compared to what he did at the end of last year. I don't think it's particularly great. I think this is going to be by far the most difficult field he's ever played in. Has played in recently, not ever. T47 last year. If you throw in what you can also do is make sure you load courses and then fire up Pebble Beach. That'll give you the 2019 US Open as well. Finished T43 there. So he's never finished inside the top 25 in 5 trips to this golf course. He's never putted well here. I have a lot of concerns over him. He's not going to get much of my investment, but I will say he's playing better golf now than he was at the end of last year. Philip says, you said in your video, Nick Dunlap could be good this week if he clubs down. Do you ever share those insights with players and caddies, or they already have teams doing data analysis for them? Little bit of both. If guys ask, I provide information. If caddies ask, I provide. If managers ask, I'll provide it. Teams don't really, not everybody has a team or of data analysis, but there are some data guys out there that do it way more frequently than I do. But yeah, if they ask for it, can absolutely have it. Hey, Rick, what do you think of the reason is for Sung Jae's struggles at Pebble Beach? Based on fit, it should be a good course for him. Well, let's look it up. I'm going to make a hypothesis here, but let's pull up his stat profile and figure it out first. By the way, if you don't get my email newsletter, it's 100% free. There's a link in the description. I did a little thing on Sung Jae here, which is weird how little he has won. So he is basically finishing inside the top 10 and the top 5 at a rate that is better than Max Homa, better than a lot of these, Sam Burns, better than a lot of these other guys, but he's winning less than Ches Reavie, which is like really, really bizarre. So he has a weird situation going on right now. If we look up his history at Pebble Beach, T66 last year, and he missed the cut in 2019. I don't know how much stock we want to put on any of this, considering it's only 2 trips in 5 years. But what my hunch would be is that Sung Jae, who is a very well-rounded golfer who usually drives it well, this is a golf course that takes some of those advantages out of his hand, right? There are a lot of spots where the average drive is 240 yards, 230 yards. Sung Jae wants long and tight golf courses with difficult spots around the green and all that stuff, right? That's what I think. So I do think that, and same goes for Rory to some extent. It's not like he's going to drive it poorly here. He's just not going to get the same reward that he does at a lot of other golf courses or some other golf courses. That's my hunch. DFS decisions for Will. Scotty Scheffler and Tommy Fleetwood, or Colin Morikawa and Justin Thomas. Admittedly, both of those are very good options. I've got Scotty about 40%, Tommy at about 9%, Justin Thomas about 16%, Colin at 23%. So combined, if you're just looking at pure ownership, it would be Thomas and Morikawa. So I actually had a similar decision in one of my single entry lineups, and I'll just tell you that I went with Scotty and Fleetwood. I'm not thrilled about it compared to but that was the one that I gave the nod to. And for me, it was just the fact that Scotty Scheffler is the best player in the world. It's not close. I think that this is a really good setup for Tommy Fleetwood. The other, JT, if he uses the long driver, I get a little bit worried about that. I also worry about the putter a little bit. Of course, I'm not really worried about Scotty. I'm really not. Maybe that's wrong. I'm not. So I had the same decision, and I went with the big boys, Scotty and Tommy. New to one and done. And I know it's a big purse. My first thought was Cantlay, but starting to consider Hostler. Is he too far down the board to consider trying to save bigger names for better tournaments? So Austin, you are you're thinking about this in the right way. Now, remember, there's only 28 events. In 28 events, do we need to play Beau Hostler in any of them? Probably not. It also says trying to save the bigger names for better tournaments. What better tournaments? This is a signature event. This is as big as it gets here. I'm showing you the season planner on this Pool Genius tool where you can see the purses. This is as big as it gets. The $20 million purse. The only ones that are going to be bigger are probably the US Open, which we won't know until US Open week, and the Players. And those are going to have significantly bigger fields. So the signature events should be the ones that you are using your best golfers in. So all that being said, you shouldn't be playing Hostler this week, which guarantees he wins. Thoughts on using the trademarked Rick Run Good Cascade method this week in a no-cut event at a course that neutralizes some of the top players, thinking a core of 3 and interchanging them from there. Yeah, I guess it depends on who the 3 would be. Scotty. If you went Scotty, Lowry, like Lucas Glover in every lineup, I'd like to see what that looked like. That would be interesting. Do we turn a blind eye? Oh boy. To Jason Day's putting woes at one of his favorite golf courses. If not, who's a good pivot in the 8K range? So the answer, the pivot answer is Shane Lowry, I believe. I'm going to turn a blind eye because I kind of refuse to believe that Jason Day has forgotten how to putt, which is what it looks like here in 2025. He's been one of the better ball strikers in 2025 from tee to green. It's been great. The putter's been absolutely horrendous. This is one of, if not the best golf courses on earth for him. I know probably Torrey is a little bit better, but this is phenomenal. He's been great. I heard some stuff about like, the putter change. He's using the Itsy Bitsy Spider from TaylorMade. That's actually the name of it. He's been using that for at least a year. So I don't think it is anything really egregious here. I'm in on Day this week. Thoughts on Keegan for one and done? If you're going to use Keegan, I definitely want you to use him earlier in the year. I think that this is a decently good spot for him. I just don't think you have to play Keegan in a signature event. That's the only concern. If you are willing to take on a little bit of that, like if you know that you're doing something that you probably don't need to do and you're still happy to, like, that's fine. I'm not going to play Keegan here, but if I go to the second tier of golfers and it's like Lowry, Jason Day, Keegan, coin flip those guys. So are you playing a second tier golfer? If you are and you choose Keegan, that's fine. I think I did in one of my entries play Jason Day. So I have a lot of Cantlay. Yeah, there he is. I have a lot of Cantlay, Justin Thomas, and then I get a little bit freaky with Hideki and Shane Lowry in our league that starts this week, because first week I kind of want to do a little bit of a scatter shot and see if I can find a winner. Fleetwood or Day? Probably Fleetwood for me. Thoughts on McNeely being its home course? Yeah, McNeely's great, like 7.5 out of 10. Are Tom Kim, Henley, and Sungjae Im too cute for a 15-person one and done? Yes. A 15-person one and done, you should be playing almost exclusively Justin Thomas or Patrick Cantlay, I would imagine. Yeah, that is just too much. Who are the Open Championship types if we are getting... Okay, well, we could do this. Excuse me. We could go to the Holy Grail. Let's do this. Let's do... Since 2018, let's do the Open Championship. Let's do the Scottish Open. Just try to get you some events that might have had Scottish Championship. Let's do the Irish Open. Just get you some events that might have had some nasty weather. Obviously, I don't know if these weeks were nasty or not, but I'm just kind of throwing them out there for fun. You can go and do this if you'd like. What else could we get? The Dutch Open, European Open, Hong Kong Open, Korea Championship. All right, we'll run with that. So Matt Fitzpatrick has 50 rounds at these, one stroke. Okay, Fleetwood's number one, 50 rounds, 1.92. Scotty Scheffler, Shane Lowry, Jordan Spieth, sure. Rory McIlroy, Tom Kim, Cam Young. Obviously, a lot of this is Open Championship stuff, but yeah, there you go. Hey, Rick, can we do a deep dive on Ben Griffin this week? Sure. Missed the cut last week, but that stopped a streak of some pretty solid play. Let's see what he did last week at the Farmers. Pretty bad both days. The measured round that we got at the South Course, he lost a stroke tee to green, though he hasn't done that in quite some time. I mean, these are very different golf courses, right? Between Torrey Pines and Pebble Beach. He finished T58 here last year, like 5.5 out of 10. Not maybe 4.5 out of 10. I don't like to do 5 out of 10 because that's like the average. 4.5 out of 10 because it's going to be a stronger field. Hey, brother. Hey, one and done. Ludwig, or should I go different with Dietrich? If those are your only two options, I'd go Ludwig. I'm also probably just going to play Ludwig at the Genesis, which is going to go back to Torrey Pines. So I'm probably just going to do that. Need somebody in the $6,800 range that is lower, 6,800 or lower. So yeah. So for me, there's a couple. I think Dunlap is interesting. I think Sam Stevens, if you want to go back to one of those guys who had a good week last week, I prefer Stevens over Novak. The other ones are Lee Hodges, who we already talked about at 62. And I think Lucas Glover is like pretty mispriced at 6,100, or at least he's not mispriced, but like his upside is insanely better than the rest of these guys. So if you're trying to win all the money, it's Lucas Glover. If you want to be a little bit safer, I don't know, maybe it's Bazano. Bazano grids out beautifully here, quite honestly. But yeah, there's a couple options down there that are bid. Is there a way to see custom model of birdie or better and short courses? Yes. So custom model. So let's do 50 on scoring. Birdie. We could do birdies or better, gains or birdie or better. I think you said birdie or better. And then course types is short courses, 50 there. Scotty, JT, Cantlay, Ludwig, it's the best players. Fitzpatrick, Grazerman, Finau show up as well. How would you rank? Oops. Sorry. Hey, Rick, between Morikawa, Justin Thomas, and Day for one and done, feel good about each of them, but is this one specific to use? Is there any chance there's a better course fit or worth using later in the year? You could play JT a lot of places. You could play JT at basically any signature event. You could play him at Quail Hollow. You could play with the PGA Championship if you want to. Morikawa, the same thing. You're going to have a lot of opportunities. This is probably the last good opportunity for Jason Day. Maybe. So again, I played Jason Day in one. In my single entry $1,000, I played Morikawa. And then I have like a lot of JT and Cantlay in other places. So I don't think you can go wrong with any, but I think you could based on that original question, you could save. I think it's easier to save Morikawa and Justin Thomas. How would you rank Fleetwood, Keegan, JT, Im, and Henley for this week? I would rank them JT, Fleetwood, Im, Keegan, Henley. Hey, Rick, I live in LA and watch as the PGA plays the California swing during the worst weather month of the year while playing in Atlanta and Memphis in the hottest weather. When is the PGA Tour going to fix this? Probably never. Who are the highest projected ownerships in the $7,000 to $8,000 range? Who are some of your favorite pivots? So credit goes to Mike Cavalunas here on the ownership projections. He does these. I do not do these, but I trust Mike. So we're going to go 8,000 to 7,000. And then we'll go highest projected ownership. So Grazerman, Hostler, Henley, Lowry, Hall, and Straka, all over 10%. Pivots are probably Dietrich, who is actually playing a lot better than I thought, and Rasmus. So a couple things here. So I'll pull up both these guys. So Dietrich is played really well at the Farmers last week and now has started his year off T5, T53, T15, driving it really well. This is the stuff that we saw him do in the fall 2 years ago. Finished T4 here last year. I'm getting really bullish on Thomas Dietrich. Rasmus, if you are only looking at a website that shows you PGA Tour only data, you have missed Rasmus Højgaard's last 10 starts. He's played 10 times since he last played on the PGA Tour, which was the Open Championship. And that includes a win at the Irish Open, a third at the British Masters, a runner-up at the DP World Tour Championship, a T4 at the Andalusia Masters, a T13 at the French Open. And look at these numbers. Very solid, very, very good from T to R. This is the best ad I could do for rickrungood.com. Like, we are playing a signature event in which guys have not played on the PGA Tour in 7 months. And rickrungood.com has European Tour strokes gain metrics, Live Golf strokes gain metrics, Corn Ferry, like this is the best ad that I can do. So Rasmus, thanks, pal. That's the That's the ad of the day. Speaking of the ad of the day, let's see the updated numbers. Let's see the updated numbers here. If you have not gotten in the one and done, there is an $79,000 overlay right now. There's a $79,000 overlay right now. Links in the description. That is free money that they are going to have to pay out no matter whether this fills or not. And we are coming up on that deadline. We are coming up. Where was I? Just signed up for the run and done. Thank you kindly. Don't want to waste Ludwig's driving talent on Pebble. Probably fair. Can you give me some good, accurate guys from 150 and in? Okay, well, I mean, I could just run a model on that. So let's just do this. Let's just do. I think that's what you were trying to get me to, Thomas, to do. What? Right? Was that it? So let's get rid of those, and let's get rid of. Where did I put those other ones? Right here. So we are going to do accurate. Okay. So we're going to do driving accuracy for, I think he has 4. So we'll do 25 from 150 and in. So we'll do it like this. We'll do 8, 8, 8, 8, 16, 24 and 1 for fun. Then we will do great short. Okay. So sand saves and short game. So we'll do 13 and 12, and then putting on POA would be the last 25. So this is Thomas's model. Rory McIlroy, number 1, Justin Thomas, Sam Burns, Wyndham Clark, Adam Scott, Jake Knapp, oh boy, Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood, Sahith, and Max Homa. That is Thomas's model. When will we see Aaron Wise on the PGA Tour again? I don't know. So he took time off dealing with a lot of demons. I think I saw him play he played something recently, and I don't think it went well. Was it a Corn Ferry event? Where did I just see him? He hasn't played a lot, I don't think. Puerto Rico. Yeah, it's kind of sad. So he played once in 2024. He missed I don't know when we're going to see him. I don't know if he's interested in being seen, quite honestly. I don't know. I hope soon, but I don't know. Haven't been hearing much about Max Grazerman after an off week at Farmers, but in your opinion, does his game fit with Pebble? So the short answer is no. I do not think his game fits Pebble, but I think we are going to learn a lot about Max Grazerman. So this is a week where I think that, approach and short game and, wedge play and scrambling is more important than what Max does best, which is just light up with the putter, which is fine. That won't hurt you. And he's a great driver. He has played well in a lot of different golf courses. If he plays well here, I would really raise my thoughts on him to a different level, because I don't think this is a good spot for him. If he finished like top 15, I would be thrilled for him. I think this is a horrible spot for him, but he has played so well in so many different spots. It's kind of tough to say. Hey, Rick, would you say there is any statistical upside with Spieth and JT being paired together in days 1 and 2? I wish I could, but I doubt that there is any. I don't know how. I would need a lot more data of those guys playing together. Who is the producer's play of the week? That's my wife, and her pick of the week is Denny McCarthy. Yes. Has there ever been any talks of being able to move funds between? Has there ever been any talks of being able to move funds between DK, FanDuel, Splash, and Underdog? Not that I've heard of. By who? By me? Or by the sites working together? I cannot imagine that would ever happen. So no, I've never heard anybody talk about that. Last 5 champions, 3 of them gained. I don't like those trends. My betting card for this week, and yes, Armina did make her first par. She's very happy. It was par 3. She smoked a driver 140 yards to the back of the green and 2 putted from there. Very well done. My betting card, which, as you guys know, don't bet what I bet. Go bet whatever you want to bet. I bet a lot of matchups this week and other weeks, and then I sprinkle a little bit on outrights, and I've tried to be really disciplined in doing that. I have bet Shane Lowry and Tommy Fleetwood. I believe Lowry was, I have it right here. What number did I get? 60, 65? I got Lowry at 65 and Fleetwood at 40. Don't bet what I bet. I'm not going to, I don't care how you spend your money. I'm going to spend mine however I want. Thoughts on Tom Kim this week? TGL narrative for what it's worth. So I'm not going to address the TGL stuff. He was fun. It was awesome. I don't think that means anything. Well, look at Tom Kim. So a shorter, more accurate driver who can get into the iron play like he has since the Olympics. We need the putter to heat up a bit. Let's look at his results around here last year, T31, but he was much worse. This was probably around the time he was really struggling with his game, right? Let's see, Pebble Beach. Yeah, I mean, after the win at Shriners, it fell off quite a bit. And this kind of started, well, not the start of it. Like American Express was, no, the Century was the start of a pretty bad run. And then he kind of got it going halfway through the year. So I would say I'm pretty positive on Tom Kim, 7.2 out of 10. I know Matthew Pavone is a long shot, but is he a pretty good value to finish inside the top 10? 20. Sorry. I don't know why my brain said 10 there. Finished third here last year. Could have won it. They only played 3 rounds. I don't think so. This is still a golfer who's lost, who's working through stuff with a new swing coach. The tee to green game is horrible, horrible. So we only have the last 3 measured events for him were the Hero, the Century, and the Farmers, and he's lost 5.5, 6.5, 3.8 strokes from tee to green. That's just really, really bad. To play or not play Scotty in a one and done. Listen, I'm going to play Scotty in a ton of like salary cap games and all that stuff. But the actual, like, you only get to use Scotty once. I will need to see something, right? I will need to see a round. I think it's a little early. Because you're going to be able to play Scotty every single one of these signature events, every single one. So I'm going to just wait. If you want to do it, you're going to get him at 2% ownership. It's the lowest he's ever going to be. But I'm not ready to get just there. This says, hey, Rick, thanks for everything that you do. Question I have is on club down courses. Is it wise to maybe use the longer proximity ranges on the custom model? No, you want to use the shorter ones. It doesn't matter what the club down is. It's where the shots come from. And a lot of them are just wedge shots. So 125, 150 and in. Yeah, I thought maybe I didn't do the deep dive on Tommy Fleetwood. Maybe I did it on Monday and I've just been talking about how much I like Tommy Fleetwood. I don't know if we actually did it. He's been awesome, right? Again, another ad for Rick Rungood. He's played 7 events since the Tour Championship, a bunch of top 7 finishes, a bunch of really good metrics, a bunch of really good tee to green play. I'm in on Tommy. Love me some Tommy. Hey, Rick, I'm not hearing much about Rory. Is he a sneaky one and done play this week? Similar boat for Rory as Scotty, I believe, which is that you don't need to use him right now. And I also don't think this is a particularly good golf course for him. The best strength that he has, the driver, is kind of taken out of his hand at times. So why not play him at Quail Hollow, Augusta National, any other signature event that we have coming up, right? There's plenty of opportunities for Rory. I don't think it needs to be this one. Yeah, you know what? Justin Rose was probably on my radar last week and in advance of this week. Let me see. Because I thought that too. He just kind of fell through the cracks as the week has gone on. It hasn't been good. The putter's lost him, or he's lost it. Last 2 starts on DP World Tour were bad. He had a T18 at the Hong Kong Open. He better play well in that field. It's just not that good. I know his history here is special, right? Yeah, the win here in 2013. T11 last year, T6 all the way back in 16. I get it's just that I'm not super excited about that. Talked about those guys. Lowry, Henley, and Hodges, or Scott Hoagie and Taylor. I'll go Lowry, Henley, Hodges. Can you give at least one decent reason to play Victor this week? He is an excellent ball striker who has had a lot of success at this golf course. That's it. I wanted to wait to use Sam Burns in one and done for the Florida swing, but he keeps popping off the screen. Would you recommend a contrarian pick this week? Not for that reason. So the reason says, considering the last few winners have been 25 to 1 or longer, that's malarkey. It has no impact on what is going to happen this week. I'm not going to use Sam Burns. I think I've been pretty clear about that. It's JT, it's Cantlay, it's getting freaky with Hideki and Lowry and Jason Day and Colin Morikawa. And I'll play Sam Burns in Florida, or I'll play Sam Burns when he's going to be like a top, like Sam Burns will probably play an event this year in Texas where he is one of the 3 or 4 shortest odds. I'll just do that. Let's splash. I want to make a splash this week, but can't take Scheffler out. What is a course fit? Yeah. You know, the good thing for Ludwig is that he does a lot of other things well, and he's playing great golf right now. I'm not playing him this week. I think that there are better places for him. Doesn't mean he's going to play poorly. I just think I'm going to wait like 2 weeks and I'm going to play him at Torrey. Besides course history, what makes you bullish on Spieth? All right, well, strap in. So here's what makes me bullish on Jordan Spieth. He's coming off the best driving year of his career. The parts of his game that he needs to fix are the parts of the game that he has always historically been the best at. He has told us that he has subconsciously been worried about the wrist when he makes contact with the ground. He's told us that. Gets that fixed. So if we are just like taking that part away, I think it's reasonable to say, okay, let's say he keeps 80% of the gains off the tee. He has a lot of juice to squeeze out of the short game categories. This is a top 3 golf course for him. I'm in. Rick, how's life? It's good, man. It's busy right now. I feel like I'm, I hate like complaining about anything, but like I'm doing a lot of data stuff that I probably shouldn't be. I need to automate some stuff, but other than that, things are great. It's awesome. No complaints here. I love this time of year. We're rocking and rolling. You're not going to hear me complain too much, but everything's good. Ollie's good. Mina's good. Everybody's happy. I'm not going to go through this, Jonathan, just because I don't want to give you the tiers. Like you should pick who you should want to pick, but I will tell you that I do have a lot of, Glover. Spieth is in tier 6. I have a lot of Spieth, quite honestly. I have a bit, mostly just like Scotty and Justin Thomas in tier 1. The third tier, I think, is the one that's tough. I think it's Akshay, Sahith. That's the one that's given me the most trouble. I'm playing a lot of Sahith. Do you have a metric for strokes gained in cut versus no cut events? Yeah. So just go no cut events. We'll go since the start of 2021. Everybody in this field, you're going to see a lot of the best players here, but we'll see if anybody pops up that's kind of different, right? So Rory, Scotty, Cantlay, Harry Hall, although he's only played 12 rounds. Grazerman's at 25 rounds. He's 6th. Hovland, Sungjae, Pendrith has been low-key very good in, I'm not showing my screen. Very good low-key in no-cut events, 44 rounds. He's like 12th in this field. So, the best players are going to show up, but, a couple guys. Here's the Sam Burns deep dive for Scott, who's a member of the channel. Thank you very much. So the approach play has been miserable going back to the President's Cup. To start off 2025, he's lost 1.7 strokes in each of his first 2 events. The putter's really, really good. He's relying on the short game right now. That's exactly what it is. He's relying on the short game right now, which makes me a little bit nervy. Tom Hoagie, I think I'm just going to loop like 3 Tom Hoagie questions together. He's won this event before. He can get absolutely blistering hot with his wedges. He's one of the best wedge players out there. He needs to keep it in play, which he should have an easier time doing. And then from wedge in, he's one of the best players on the PGA Tour. You can see his history here: 6th, 48th win, and 12th in his last 4. Like, yes, Tom Hoagie's a good play. It is going to come with ownership, and I do not think that he is like the safest play by any stretch of the imagination, but I totally understand it. Okay. So can you explain an overlay in rough numbers? Not sure if your splash will overlay, for instance, but is it simply a pool that allowed for an easier cash because it did not fill? Okay. So this is $500,000 guaranteed. So this one and done splash said, we are paying out $500,000 no matter how many people get into this. And they are, now that has been created, like they're legally obligated to do that. Okay. So if only, and then they have the payouts that are based on it filling. Now, if it doesn't fill, these are still the payouts. So imagine, so the payouts for 3,700 people are 50K to first, 25 to second, etc. Imagine if there only 100 people got into this. They would still pay out $50,000 to first, $25,000 to second, or whatever that ends up being. Actually, 100 was a bad example, but like 500 people got into this. So let's say they pay out 370 spots out of 500 people. Not only is it easier to cash, but the cash that is already being allocated is still going to be paid out, even though the money collected from the entry fees does not match that. Splash has to match the rest of it. They have to bridge it. So right now that's $80,000 they have to bridge. And that's not going to filling it. That's going to them breaking even. They break even on 500,000. They make money if it goes over that, right? But they have to pay out if it goes under that. So right now there's like an $80,000 gap that Splash would, because entry fees are only making up about 420,000, and Splash will have to cover the rest. I hope that helps. We've done that. We have talked about that. I have shown that. We ran that. This is a new one. Favorite guys between 6,800 and 7,400. Okay. 68 and 7,400. Poston Dietrich Hall. Stevens. Those are my favorite five. All things considered. All things considered. Oh, we have not talked about Mackenzie Hughes, who I just routinely cannot figure out. I don't know. This is he hasn't played well in 2025, which is a little bit concerning. Like when is that coming? I'm going to wait. I don't need to be early on Mackenzie Hughes. If you want to be, that's fine. He just hasn't played well this year. His history here is mid at best, as the kids say. Yeah, this is kind of the interesting. So I do think the idea that Cantlay's not playing well has definitely been overblown. He's playing great. He just hasn't won anything, right? He hasn't won in like 3 years, basically. But Devin is right here. He doesn't have a finish worse than T25 since the U.S. Open. Yeah, it's really good. He just hasn't won anything. So that's why a lot of models. So if you remove like the human element of it, models really like Patrick Cantlay. It's why the one and done model really likes Patrick Cantlay. It's why sports books really like Patrick Cantlay. Kind of just taking the narrative out of it, because you're right, Devin. He's been great. Sorry, late to the game, but are y'all not doing one and done on first cut anymore? I'll let you know a little secret. That is the plan has been to do it, and it has been to do it with a prize, like a cash prize. And as cool as that is, what that did is it kicked us into legal, because having a free roll with I don't know what it was going to be, $5,000 purse or whatever, now opens up CBS to a lot of different things. And we thought legal was going to be a lot easier. It has proven to be wrong, and it is taking forever. So as far as last I heard, and I'm not really in these conversations, we're just waiting on somebody to ink it that we can launch it, because it's ready to go. But you know, what's the saying? No good deed goes unpunished. You know, we were trying to do a good thing, trying to do a fun thing, and now we're like, missed the first month of the year. Who knows when it's coming, right? So I don't know. Hey, Rick, it's not unfrequent for the winning lineup in GPPs to not have the winner. In your recollection, has there ever been an instance instance where the winner wasn't in the optimal lineup. I don't even know if that could be possible, quite honestly. I don't think so. Unless they weren't in the field. Remember, Nate Lashley won a golf tournament and wasn't in the DraftKings field. I doubt it. I have to pick 3 golfers per week. That's fun. Oh, and you get to use every golfer 3 times. That's less fun. Burn Scotty once with low ownership. Yes, that's yes. Yeah, you're not. Every other time you use Scotty, he's going to be like 13% owned or more. A lot of questions about Sam Burns. Yes, it is crazy. It is crazy to start Bo Hostler. Your ex-wife is correct. Thoughts on Russell Henley? In big. I want to play one and done. Okay. I do want to address this as well, because I do think this was a mistake that was made. Not a mistake, but like a oversight. This says, I want to play the one and done, but massive amount of buy-ins for any one person is a huge deterrent. I don't want to have more than a couple entries, and obviously it'd be a huge disadvantage for deep pocket guys. So I get this. I do get this, because you can have 111 entries in this one and done. And I think that's just the default. Like, I think that's when Splash plugs in, 3,700 total entries. It just, that's what it says the max is. To me, and I'll eventually get the numbers from Splash on this. I would assume that like 98% of users, if not more, are playing 5 or fewer entries in this. I would be stunned if anybody max enters it. I would be stunned if anybody has 100. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I'm under the impression that there's going to be, actually, could I find that out? If I go to all entries, I guess I would have to like click all of these, wouldn't I? I mean, do you see anybody's name in here like more than like 3 times in a row? I know this is very anecdotal. Breakfast Balls has 2 entries. Tom E has 3. Like, that was 2 from that guy there. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think like 98% of people are playing less than 5 entries. And I think that we should have capped it. I think it should have been capped at 5 or 10 or something like that, because that's what's going to be the reality anyway. But I think perception of it saying 111 is kind of crazy. Do you view a golfer playing well in the DP World Tour the same as a baseball player playing well in AAA before being called back up to the majors? It's not a bad comp. I think the gap is actually a lot closer, quite honestly. I think global golf and how talented these guys are, it has never been closer. So yeah, I think, yes, it's a good analogy, but I actually think it's actually better. Let's see what we've got here. Lee Hodges and Lucas Glover are my favorite in the bottom of the 6K range. Does Hideki's only trip here being bad worry you? No. I played Hideki, like I said, in one of my run and done entries. He's been the best player in 2025. This is a golf course that, he's got a phenomenal short game. I don't really worry about Hideki at all. He struggled here last year. Different guy. Harry Hall is probably the guy we do the most deep dives on, but I'm happy to do it because I like Harry. So here's the deal with Harry. Short game, putting, splendid. Since switching, I think he's working with Claude Harmon now. I mean, he's just hit it a lot better. Look at the results. The T21 at the American Express was so quiet. Hasn't, since the Irish Open, he's been nothing but T35s or better. He's going to get four cracks at this. I'm in on Harry until proven otherwise. I think I do have a referral code for Splash. I believe it is RICKRG. Rick RG, all caps. Someone told me that worked. So I believe that might get you a little bit of a bonus as well. If we get firm greens and higher winds over the weekend, what is the amount of weight you would put on around the green and scrambling? Pretty high. I'm just running through 30. And that would feel like a lot to me. They're already very hard greens to hit. They're very small. And I would put a lot, I think. Can you explain the segments a little more in depth for the one and done? Yeah, sure. So the payouts for the full, like this is for the full season, right? All 28 events, add up your money, whatever order you finish in, that's what you get. The segments though are a little bit different. So the segments are down here. So there's 6 different segments. So the first segment is Pebble, Phoenix, Genesis, Mexico, Cognizant, API, and the players. The second segment is only 4: Valspar, Houston Open, Valero, Texas Open, Masters. So what they did is they put, they spread out the majors, right? Which is kind of cool. So each segment has between 4 and 7 tournaments in it. And then if you add up your amount of money for only those events, so for only those 4 events, if you make the most money of anybody, you win the segment. You get the $5,000, right? So it keeps you engaged all year long is what people want. I want you to continue to make picks throughout the entire year, even if you're struggling for the whole season, because you might win the last segment and make $5,000. So that's how it works. Hopefully that helps. I will consider segment payouts as we get there. Yeah. So there would be a scenario in which, hey, we're at the, let's see here. We're at the Masters, which is the second to the last event of segment 4. And I have a chance to be inside the top 10, or I have a chance to win the segment. I would be willing to burn someone that I normally wouldn't to try to win the segment. Yes. Of course I would. So that's the kind of thing that I would do. You don't have to do anything but pick players. I mean, you can do more strategy, but like just pick players. It adds it all up. You don't have to do anything different. The player that you pick overall is the player that you pick for the segment. They just chop it up differently. With Scotty's one and done ownership at 1%, isn't it an advantage to play in this week if no one else is in a signature event? If no one else is in a signature event, I don't know what that part means, but yes, having Scotty at a 1% ownership is going to be an advantage if he's going to win and play well. I think that he's going to be the highest he's going to be the highest EV golfer in every single tournament that he plays, which includes 7 other signature events. I'm not sure if I understand that. Denny McCarthy is my wife's pick. She's very happy about that. Talked a lot about Hodges, talked a lot about Thomas Dietrich. No concern. No concern about guys that are playing, especially those 2, Rory and Fleetwood, who are playing their first U.S. tournament. Absolutely no concern. Hypothetical question. If you could choose what type of fantasy golf information would be covered, if you could choose what type of fantasy golf information would be covered, if you could tell the next big website or content creator would cover. I liked where that was going, but I have no idea what that means. If you could tell the next big website or content, I don't. Retype that because I think it was going to be interesting and I don't know what happened. I'm thinking of fading Colin and Cantlay. Do you agree? I suppose it depends on in what scenario, but no, I do not agree. Especially Colin. Colin is going to win like 3 times this year. I've made that just like explicitly clear. Like I'm buying all the Colin Morikawa. He's going to win like 3 times this year. He's probably going to win a major championship. I just don't see a path in which Colin doesn't have a big 2025. I just don't. So no, I wouldn't do that. And then Cantlay, we kind of already talked about a lot, but here's Colin's profile. It is major championship-esque. It's incredible. I'm not worried about the Scotty hand injury. Hey, Rick, wondering who to play in DFS between Horschel, Dunlap, Stevens. I would play Stevens, Dunlap, then Horschel. Any love for Wyndham? No. No. I mean, listen, it's, you know, shoots a 60 on Saturday last year, not knowing it's the final round, wins the golf tournament, and has been very, very erratic ever since then. And I just, I don't even think this is really that good of a spot. I know he won. I don't even think it's really that good of a spot for him. Just say that. 3 of us signing up for the 500K one and done in about 3 hours at our trivia night. Let's go. I would love to be part of trivia night. I have not seen anything about Speed's practice rounds, Ryan. How long does Splash take to verify ID? I have no idea, but if you need to reach them directly, we have a upgraded support line. So it's VIP support at splashsports.com. That's like, they answer that like 24/7 and they answer it a lot faster than regular support. So if you need it, Mike, use that. I got in the 150 splash today. If I use SEP, is it like going to the funeral when I didn't go to the wedding? Well, you missed the win and now you're going to the funeral. Can we get one more? Yeah. So this is the thing that I'm like really stuck between, right? So Patrick says, can we get one more plead for the 500K overlay so that Splash doesn't have to eat 150K and not accept our $1 million purse next year? Right. So that was my plan. The plan was this year, which so their software for one and done, we did get a late start. I think it was like mid-December, and it really kind of ruled out starting it at like January, like at the Century for us. So my plan was get a 500K guarantee this year and fill it quick, and then ask for $1 million next year. Now, we did not fill it quick. I would like that if there would be no, like maybe $1 million is out of the question, but I don't know. That was the plan. So filling it would be great. I mean, obviously it's great for us if there's an overlay. It's bad for Splash, but it's like bad for our future prospects. Best food option to maximize watching Sunday at Pebble Beach. And is Thomas playing with, that's definitely narrative based, the Spieth and Thomas thing. Best food. Okay. So I'm going to say this. Sunday at Pebble Beach. It'll probably be windy, chilly, rainy. We're going to need something warm. We're going to need something cozy. I mean, I would just eat like a burrito, but what I think it'd actually be like the best watching experience is, so I'm going to go 2 things here. Like grilled cheese dipped in like tomato soup. I know people like that. I don't like that, but I do like grilled cheese. Or like a pepperoni pizza, not like a calzone, but like you do it on like a little panini press, and then you dip that in marinara. It's like warm and cozy and cheesy, and you're laying on your couch with your, your blanket and all that stuff. That would make me feel quite special inside. Yes. So Brian says, can you chat through how you navigate all different games you play between one and done DFS, fantasy outrights, etc.? I would imagine your players across the different games are all over the place. Yes. Rarely though, is it like I'm rooting against this guy here and I'm rooting for him here. There are definitely buckets of guys that I am positive on and guys that I'm negative on. So like, you're not going to see me probably, if I don't like Ricky Fowler, you're not going to see me take that side of a matchup and also fade him here. You know what I mean? So like, it's definitely like, there's a group of guys I'm positive on that I want to do well. There's a group of guys that I want to do poorly. And then I just, honestly, I don't even check at that. Like just kind of just see what happens at the end of the week and go from there. Except for round by round matchups. But yeah, I usually, lineups go first, because if you're playing multiple lineups, you can kind of build that core of golfers. And then I kind of go to one and done. One and done is taken up a big, like it's gotten so big and so interesting for me recently that's really, there's so much strategy in it that's kind of where my brain goes next. And then, match, after that kind of just like I go to check out what matchups are available and the outright markets. But yeah, one and done has taken up more of my brain recently than a lot of other things.
I've bet Fleetwood and Lowry don't do what I'm doing here. Agreed. Russell Henley's a stud. Still missing KP on the first cut. Me too. Thoughts on two winners, Harris, English, and Sepp Straka. So I'm glad, Rob, you brought this up. I don't know if we mentioned it. I might have put it in my newsletter this week or last week. I like Sepp Straka a lot this week. Sepp Straka, I know he won and he's coming off the win, but it was 2 weeks ago. You have time to kind of recalibrate. Look at what he's done since the Spanish Open. His tee to green numbers are insanely good. He drives it so well. His second shots are awesome. The short game, a problem, but he chipped and pitched it well at the American Express, and he's putting great. I'm in on Sepp Straka. He's like a short, accurate hitter. I'm in. I'm in. Harris English, Harris is fine. I think it's a very unique set of circumstances that happened for Harris English to find victory last week. Not that he's bad, but it's a bogey fest, making par, getting up and down from everywhere. But Sepp is kind of hot right now. Cantlay or Day for one and done if I haven't used either. I like using Day in so if you're not front running, I like using Day. Like 25% of people used Day last week. They can't use him this week. That I think is really interesting. If you're front running or you're off to a good start, just play Cantlay. Is this a basic strokes gained or a weighted strokes gained week? Probably a basic strokes gained week. I don't know what that conversation was about. It also happened like an hour ago, so I don't know what I was saying at that time. We've answered a lot of these. This one's interesting. Aaron Rye, we haven't talked about. Missed the cut at the Farmers. Played well at the North Course, played bad at the South Course. The Century was a better stat profile. His 25's been weird. He was part of the winning team at the Team Cup, the European. It's like their President's Cup or whatever. But we don't have the strokes gained metrics there, so I have no idea if he played well or not. Wow, this is tough. Let me think about this. He's accurate off the tee. This is actually quite a difficult one. I'm going to say, let's look his POA numbers. It's his best surface, but it's still not very good. Yeah, I'm going to say 5.7 out of 10. I think it is more positive than negative because of the way he drives it, the surface, the accuracy, and the wedge play can be good. It's not always good, but it can be. I did not expect that video that I posted of that guy playing LVCC to be popular at all. That was just for me, and I did not expect it to be. That was the only one I took. I wasn't expecting anything eventful to happen. I was maybe he'll make an ace or maybe he'll just make a. I didn't know what was going to happen. The guy was a Looney Tune. Rick, are you hiring? Software engineer here looking to get into more sports. No. I get asked about this quite a bit, and I feel bad because I do want to hire and I do want to share what I do with others, but I hate working with other people. And it's nothing against you, Rob. It's nothing against there's a book called Company of One. Paul Jarvis, I believe, wrote it. I subscribe to that. I actively try not to grow. Growing would be more headaches for me. It would take me away from the things that I want to do. I'd have to oversee stuff. I don't like working with others. I just don't. And that has stopped me from hiring and bringing others on when I probably should. I probably should have somebody, not full-time. I couldn't pay you full-time, Rob, but I should probably have a developer on staff for 20 hours a week or something like that. I should probably have quite honestly, somebody to do data entry. I probably shouldn't be doing that. I just don't like working with other people. I'm sorry. It's my baby and I like to kind of do everything myself. Except for Armina, of course. Are there sign-up deposit bonuses? If you're talking about Rick Run Good, no. Everybody always pays the same price. It's fair for everybody. If you're talking about Splash, try Rick RG, all caps. This isn't bad. Cam Davis does have some decent like club down course history here. This is very nice. I know it's a lot, and I know sometimes it's hard to show up, but you keep it up, doing the best in the business. Big dog. Thank you. I appreciate that. It does keep me going. You guys keep me going. Do we see a hole-in-one this week? Probably not. There hasn't been one in quite a few years. Let's do Taylor Pendrith. Let's look at that together. He's what did he show up on? No cut events, right? That was what he popped up on. Wow, played really well at the Farmers last week. Still can't putt. We know that. What's his history here? 7th last year. This isn't bad. I can get behind this. And I'm a big fan of Taylor Pendrith. I like that. There was like 6 questions in a row about Nick Taylor. I know because he won this golf tournament before and he's won recently. So let's just see what's going on. I'm a buyer of Nick Taylor for 2025, but let's just see what's going on here. Century started out good. Short game, okay, fine. Sony was obviously awesome. And then the American Express, those 2 rounds were pretty strong. Really struggled on Saturday, but that was at either, oh my God, how did he lose 4 strokes at a non-stadium course? Yeah, this is probably a pretty good spot for Nick Taylor. Probably should have talked about him a lot more today. He's played okay since winning here. But if we think he's back, and I think he is, then we got to roll him out. Yeah, there's like 9 more questions about Nick Taylor. So if you max it and win 50K, it's only 3 times your money. Talking about the one and done. Yes, I agree. Looked yesterday, saw at least 1 entry with the full 111. Wow. I still say, yeah, 98% of people are playing like 5 or fewer. We'll have to see, Cody. I can get Splash to send me them, or I guess we'll be able to see from the leaderboard, right? I'll just like put him in a spreadsheet and see what we get here. Out on Fitzpatrick until further notice. Just gotta. Where can we find a first place in all the tourneys? So the easiest place is going to be on that Pool Genius tool, right? So season planner, and then it ranks them as in terms of like what, how many more there are left and who you should be considering on your short list for those type of events. It tiers those guys. So that would be the easiest place. Does Colin ever win? He never does. The man won 2 major championships in his first 8 starts, and he's won like 5 or 6 times on the PGA Tour just because he won the Tour Championship, by the way. He won the Tour Championship, except the fact that the PGA Tour spotted Scotty Scheffler's strokes. So, yes, Colin does win. The OWGR thinks Colin has won because he won the Tour Championship. Who's more cooked, Homa or Harman? Harman. I don't believe Homa's cooked. He might be. I just really don't think he is. First time doing one and done. I love that. And you're going to love it. Signing up for Splash to defend my top 10. Yes, JG, good job. Top 10 last year. Good job. You can DM me about that one. I know. I wish it was in PA as well. Rick RG worked. Okay, so that is the promo code Rick RG, all caps on Splash. That should get you a little something. Okay. We went into overtime there. I'm going to ask one more time. Let's just do the math one more time. Let's do the math one more time on this overlay. 2844 times 150. 75 grand. 75 grand. Buy back your time. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me buy back your time. Okay, I saved that. Thank you. Thanks for the book recommendation. Let's at least get this over 3,000 entries, right? And see what happens from there. That would make me very, very happy. And then I'll try to scheme something up where we get them to give us more money next year. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we'll do it. Otherwise, if you are playing for the first time, and I would not tell you this if I didn't truly believe it, the tool from Pool Genius, which is the tool that I've been consulting on with them for the last couple of years, is the best tool to manage your entries, to understand when and how to deploy golfers based on your own situation. Your own situation. It's all completely custom to you. It is the best. It is the best tool. Sign up for rickrungood.com. Okay. It is a giant database for golf betting and fantasy. There's a lot of really cool tools. I'm always trying to make improvements. My newsletter is 100% free. There's a link in the description. I think I'm out of things to shill, but they're all good things. I wouldn't be shilling them if I didn't think that they were. All right. I appreciate you guys so much. I will see you soon, but I'm going to shut the show down now, and I will catch you another time. Goodbye.